So what did I think of 28 years later, The Bone Temple? Hey guys, it's Brian. Welcome to the awards contender. I have watched my first 2026 film. I just put out my top 10 list of the best movies of 2025, and it was time to move on into the new year. I know we've had a couple new films, but the first one of this year I was really excited to see was 28 years later, The Bone Temple. I really enjoyed the last one that came out in June. I didn't go in with like super high expectations. Danny Boyle was directing it, so that excited me. But it had been so many years since the last entry, right? The first one came out in 2003, the second one in 2007. It had been a while. So I was like, is this going to be worth my time? It absolutely was. 28 years later, I thought was fantastic. It didn't make my top 10 list of the year, but it would have been in my next 10. I was really taken with it. The grand scope of that story, the performances are all excellent. The emotion toward the end, like I was tearing up, and I don't often cry in a horror film, but 28 years later made that happen for me. So I was very excited to learn we were having another entry coming out in January. This one directed by Nia DaCosta, but also like the last one, written by Alex Garland, who I adore. I think is such a stunning filmmaker, even when he's just writing the scripts. There is a reason to take a look. Now, I know it's January. Typically, in January, the movies suck, right? They're awful. You know, a year later, it's like, wait, what came out last January? It's hard to even remember. This is one of the best January movies we have had in a long time. I mean, I was gobsmacked watching this last night at how good it was. How fresh and exciting and violent and surprising. I kept thinking of the word quirky to describe this movie. It's not really like the last one, which is more of a typical horror film. It has more action, more scope to it. 28 years later, The Bone Temple really just focuses on a few select characters, these eccentric people we spent a little bit of time with in the last movie. And now they are the center of attention. I mean, one of the most memorable aspects of the last film was Ralph Fiennes as this doctor who has such a weird look, a fascinating philosophy about life. He really wants to help the people who come across his path, even the zombies, right? Not just human beings. He made such a deep impression in the previous film, and now he gets a lot more running time in this. I mean, it's gotta be double of what he was in the last film. He becomes a very important player in this narrative. You learn more and more about him, his backstory, a little bit about his personal life before this outbreak even happens. We get to see him dancing and enjoying life. It's not all just dismal and bleak. He tries to find joy wherever he can get it. The big part of his storyline is that he comes across a zombie, a very big, intimidating figure, and with a new discovery he has made, maybe he can bring some life back into this semi-person. So an intriguing relationship develops in the film between them, and there's really time to explore what that's all about. Other filmmakers, other screenwriters, they would have maybe hinted at some of this, but like for the most part, we would stay away. Nia DaCosta and Alex Garland know this is one of the most fascinating elements of this story in this world. Dr. Kelson, his discovery, what he's trying to give to the world. It's so interesting in this. I'm so happy time was taken with these characters, and it's not just about scaring the viewer. Another big action sequence and beheadings and blood squirting every which way. There is some of that in 28 years later, The Bone Temple. If you were going into this to watch a horror film, you get those moments. There's at least 3 or 4 parts that made me jump out of my seat, where I was like, oh my god, we don't have to see that much, you know? This film delivers on the gory kills. It's all fantastic. It looks great. It's got everything you want and more. I was just so relieved there was more focus paid to the characters, letting scenes play out. You get to know them through dialogue, their behavior with one another. You have Dr. Kelson, of course, and this giant zombie he's trying to turn into more of a human. That's about half of the movie. And then the other half, you have the boy Spike, who was a big part of the last movie. Now he's a part of this gang led by Jimmy Crystal, played by Jack O'Connell, who is such a delight in this. I mean, an entire film about either Dr. Kelson or Jimmy Crystal, I think would have been great. to have both of them in this movie, to go back and forth between these very fascinating characters, I found to be just a pleasure. He has such an interesting look, the hair and the yellow teeth, and you know he has been through it. He hasn't made the best choices in life, but his gang looks up to him. They will follow him anywhere. And Spike is just trying to survive in this new reality of his. He knows he can't stay with them forever, but at the moment, like, his best chance of survival is to stay put, keep his head down, do what he's told, and find those little pockets of time where he can stand up for himself and do the right thing. We got a little tease of Jimmy Crystal at the end of the previous film, and now he is all over this thing. He has such confidence, he thinks he is invincible in a way. And so once we get to the third act of this movie, which I will not spoil for you here, all I will say is, oh my god, I mean, there is a dance. I'll just say that. There's a dance in the third act where I was like, who thought of this? Alex Garland, you are a mad genius. I just really dug the storytelling in this movie, the slow pacing, the not being in a rush to get anywhere. Allow these characters to be as three-dimensional as a sequel horror film can possibly make them. And then we get one more major character at the end. I will just say, I applauded, I cheered, I was the only person in my theater to do that. I was like, yes! I had no idea this person was coming at the end of the movie. And then I turned to my right, I turned to my left, and they were all looking at me like, are you okay? I'm like, have you guys seen the previous movies? This is a moment, come on. This has a great screenplay by Alex Garland, who just knows this world really well. He really likes to dive deep into these characters, into all of the different settings and places here. It's really fascinating stuff, and Nia DaCosta was an inspired choice for director. She is so talented. I really enjoyed her take on Candyman a few years ago. I didn't love Hedda with my full heart, but there's a lot of great stuff in Hedda. Her attention to detail, getting fantastic performances out of her actors. I know Hedda and 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple have very little in common, but you can tell in a way it's the same filmmaker. She has such a deep appreciation of her characters, both the big and the small, and she did a tremendous job on 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. It doesn't really feel like Danny Boyle, and I'm happy about that. She's not just replicating the same style of the previous movie. This is not 1981's Halloween 2 versus 1978's Halloween, where the sequel, you want it to look exactly like the previous one. The Bone Temple is its own thing, even though we have characters that appeared in the last movie. This has its own identity and rhythms to it. I thought it worked really well. The performances are all outstanding. Ray Fiennes, I mean, that man just keeps topping himself year after year. He tries new things, plays different kinds of people. He will appear as the lead in Conclave and get an Oscar nomination for a gripping, very subtle performance in that. And then he will appear as the very colorful Dr. Kelson in these two 28 Years Later movies and just knock it out of the park. He is so much fun to watch. He is clearly having the time of his life. I saw someone say online it's his best performance since Schindler's List. And that's probably a bit exaggerated, but I can't really combat that very much because he is freaking amazing in this. What a performance that will last in my memory for a long while. And then Jack O'Connell, of course, is the other standout. He just gave us a tremendous performance a few months back in Sinners. I wish he had been more part of the awards conversation. I think he's deserving of a Best Supporting Actor nomination. And here again, another terrific performance by O'Connell, who just keeps stepping up his game, takes this very weird, eccentric character and makes it his own in so many beautiful ways throughout this film. I really enjoyed his performance as well. The entire ensemble is fantastic in 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. There's not a weak one in the bunch. On a technical level, everything is fantastic. The cinematography, the editing, the score, the production design, especially toward the end, is a wow. I just thought this worked really well, especially for a January release. Usually, I avoid going to the movies in January. I'm like, I'm good. Maybe I'll see something in February. But this film was calling my name. I really enjoyed the last one. I said, Brian, you have to see the new one. And you have to see it in a theater on opening night with a big crowd. I'm so happy I did. I don't have too many negatives about it. I mean, it doesn't work very well as a self-contained movie. If you haven't seen the previous one, you're going to be very lost, and then it ends on a major cliffhanger, so it can't really exist as its own thing. That does take it a notch down or two, I think. It could have a little bit more action in it, maybe like some of the pacing is a bit too slow at times. O'Connell, like there's maybe 2 scenes with him and his gang where it could have hurried up a little bit, but these are all pretty nitpicky. This is a really fun time at the movies. Again, very violent at times, very gruesome. There are some shots where, you kind of want to look away. It's not going to be for everybody. This is definitely a film for adults and older teenagers. I mean, there's a lot of nudity in this that you might not expect. I turned to the person beside me, I said, "There is more penis in this movie than heated rivalry." And I did not get a laugh. I thought that was funny. This film lets it all hang out, pun intended, and that's fine because it's supposed to be authentic. Zombies are not going to be walking around clothed from head to toe, so it's all good. But it's definitely not a movie for kids, and I would recommend if you're going to see 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, watch the previous film just to get all caught up. You will be kind of lost in the beginning if you haven't seen that film from 2025, so check that out too. I think they're both great. Again, they're very different. The one from last year was bigger in scope, more of a traditional horror film, and it had more of an emotional third act than this new one does. But The Bone Temple, it takes these characters, this story, this world into new, exciting directions, and it really takes its time to let us engage with this pocket of deeply eccentric and weird individuals. Kudos to Alex Garland and Nia DaCosta for delivering one of the best January release movies we have had in a long while. I give 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple an 8 out of 10.